Today we are going to indulge our senses with the most feminine fragrances. Today I am going to talk about the best orange blossom fragrances on the market. From the sweet to the fresh citrusy one, I am going to cover all variety of orange blossom there is in the search for the perfect orange blossom for you. We have a lot to talk about, so let's start right with the sweet gourmand orange blossom fragrances. Starting with the sweetest from this category, in my opinion, is a Devotion Intense. I'm talking about the Intense, not the original one, because the difference between this one and the original one is the orange blossom. Now they list also a hazelnut. It's not like I get it a lot. There is a little bit of a nuttiness in this fragrance. Mainly the difference between the two fragrances is the orange blossom, in my opinion. So you still get the DNA of Devotion. So this bakery sweet vanilla with some candied orange. I know it's not listed in the notes, but I still can get it also in the intense version mixed with orange blossom. So this is a fragrance for those who are into more of gourmand fragrances and not fresh floral ones. So a very sweet take on orange blossom. Of course, we cannot speak about sweet orange blossom fragrances without mentioning the queen of this category, Love Don't Be Shy from Kilian. This is the fragrance that started everything when it comes to sweet orange blossom. And this is a very caramelly, sugary, almost honeyed orange blossom. Orange blossom as a note has a little bit of a honey facet to it, to my nose. There is no honey in the notes. I'm saying only that this facet in orange blossom, you can really get it in this fragrance mixed with caramel and sugar. It's an extremely decadent and sweet orange blossom. And it has nothing to do with Devotion. Devotion is more of a vanilla, more of a candied orange. Both of these are the sweetest orange blossom fragrances there are on the market. This was very hyped, and for a reason. It's a beautiful gourmand orange blossom that has enough of complexity. Kilian just has a very elevated, complex base to their fragrances. Even if they are similar to others on the market, you can distinguish how rich and how complex their fragrances are. And this is not an exception, definitely not for the faint of heart. It is very sweet. Different sweetness to Devotion Intense, but like these two are tooth-rotting sweet fragrances. Moving on to still a sweet orange blossom, but it's more fresh compared to the other two that I've mentioned, and I am talking about Oriana from Parfum de Marly. Here you have a marshmallow note and some whipped cream. So you get a little bit of this gourmandy touch, but I wouldn't classify this fragrance as a gourmand fragrance. It's not edible, if that makes any sense. Why the other two, they almost are. This is a very fluffy fragrance, very girly. It smells like the bottle, and it smells to me like the coating, like the powder that coats the marshmallow. This is what I get in this fragrance. There is a dupe for it, and it is a Middle Eastern fragrance, and it is Ansam Gold. Now I have a whole dedicated comparison video between Love Don't Be Shy, Oriana, and Ansam Gold. You'll find it in the description. And it is definitely very similar to Oriana. The main difference is the kind of sweetness. So when we talk about Oriana, we are talking about a marshmallow sweetness, while here it's more vanilla. So the dry down of this fragrance is more of a vanilla orange blossom. I have tested a lot of Middle Eastern fragrances, and most of them were a huge flop for me, and this is one of the exceptions. I would highly recommend Ansam Gold. Next we have another sweet marshmallow orange blossom, and it is Sintra. Now this cannot be compared to Oriana, although it has a marshmallow note. It has also some milk. What really distinguishes this fragrance in particular to any others is the full representation of an orange tree. So you get a predominant note of orange blossom, but you will also get the neroli, and you will get a little bit of petit grain. So it's very much of a sharp, let's say, opening, but in the dry down, it's a very, very sweet orange blossom. More similar to Love Don't Be Shy than to Oriana, if that makes any sense. So this is a fragrance that I would recommend for those who want more of a sharp, full representation of an orange tree. You love neroli, you love petitgrain. This is more of the vibe of this fragrance. And if you don't know, neroli and orange blossom are the same exact flower. It's only the method of extraction that brings out different facets from the same flower. So neroli is a little bit more sharp, more masculine in a way, if you will, while orange blossom is more sweet and more feminine. Petitgrain is just the leaves of the orange tree. So here you get the whole picture. You get a little bit of sharpness from the neroli, a little bit of a green touch, specifically in the opening from the petitgrain. A similar fragrance, but much fresher, less sharp, is Perdizione from Nobile 1942. Here you have a sweet orange blossom, but it's more of a vanillic sweetness, so you don't get the gourmand effect that you get in the others. It falls just between what I would categorize as a fresh or a true representation floral fragrance representing the orange blossom and a sweet gourmand take. So if you are not into sweet orange blossom fragrances, but you don't want the fresh, just floral ones, you want something that has a little bit of a sweetness, but not to the full extent of a marshmallow or very sweet notes, then Perdizione is for you. Now, a sweet orange blossom, but is more of an ambery take on that note, is Chloé Nomade Nuit d'Egypte. Here you have a very interesting kaifi note. It has this very ambery sweet base to it with vanilla and a nice orange blossom note. A lot of people compare this one to Libre. I don't get it at all. I actually have a full review on this fragrance. You can check it. I just don't get anything from Libre because Libre for me is the fragrance that I actually hate. I don't like Libre at all. I don't get the hype behind this fragrance. And so no Libre in this video, but Chloé Nomade Nuit d'Egypte definitely is included. Beautiful scent, a standout definitely in the designer world. It's beautiful, but not a safe blind buy. You have to test this fragrance on the sweet side, but not a fully gourmand, let's say. An honorable mention goes to Granada from Memo, specifically because it is a fragrance that some people smell more the orange blossom in and others smell jasmine. I personally smell more jasmine than anything, but yeah, some people really get the orange blossom. So this is why it is under an honorable mention. So you may categorize it as equal part orange blossom and jasmine. What makes this fragrance very unique is the use of pomegranate. Now, don't expect your typical synthetic pomegranate notes that you find in other fragrances. This is much more elevated, much more beautifully done. It has a little bit of a powderiness because it's also heliotrope. It's a beautiful, beautiful scent that is not talked about enough. And it has this very girly, easygoing, sweet fruitiness, specifically in the opening. The dry down is more softer and more enjoyable for me personally. So this is the best segue for the next category when it comes to orange blossom fragrances, and it is fruity orange blossoms. And for this category, I have 4 fragrances that I'm going to talk about together because I did a comparison on these 4 fragrances. I will leave it linked down below. They are in the same vibe, in the same category, let's say, except of one that is a little bit of a standout. So we have Valaya from Parfum de Marly, we have Fleur Narcotique from Ex Nihilo, Afnan Mystic Bouquet, a dupe of Valaya specifically, and Levant. So if you want a full comparison between these 4 fragrances, check my video in the description. So I am going to talk about them very, very briefly, starting with Valaya. With Valaya, you have a nice peachy note and a lot of synthetic notes like aldehydes, ambroxan, petalia that really, really uplifts the fragrance, has a great longevity, and one of the most complimented fragrances you will ever experience, trust me. A dupe of Valaya is a Mystic Bouquet from Afnan. It's kind of a hybrid between Fleur Narcotique and Valaya. They are at the end or similar fragrances. So again, you have this very fresh orange blossom with a very nice fruity touch and also vanilla. What really makes the difference between this one and Valaya is the use of vanilla here. It's a little bit more vanillic. Then we have Fleur Narcotique. And with Fleur Narcotique, it's more fresh, let's say, compared to Valaya and Mystic Bouquet. This has a lychee note, but the lychee here, don't expect the notes that is used in Bellina, for example. This is more of a transparent fragrance. The fruitiness is very light and transparent and feminine, a very, very fresh fragrance, and definitely very hyped for a reason because, again, compliment magnet. Again, you have a lot of synthetic notes, but not as much as Valaya. Remember, the perfumer behind this fragrance is the same, Quentin Biche, so not a surprise. Then we have Levant, and this is my obsession, my favorite fragrance. I ended up categorizing as a fruity orange blossom, mainly because it is very similar to the fragrances that I've talked about, but it is the less fruity, which is the perfect segue for the next category. It's more on the floral side. You'll get the orange blossoms, there is peonies, there is, to my nose, a little bit of pethalia. And the citruses here are fresh and everything, but they are not so bright as in very fresh orange blossoms. When I speak about citrusy fresh orange blossom, they are a little bit on the cologne side. They are more bright, more and very short-lived, let's say. Here, the citruses are very juicy, very beautiful. It's such a beautiful scent and very, very elegant, and I can't stop talking about it. It is, for me, the best orange blossom fragrance ever created. Again, for my comparison, check the description. Now, before moving to what I would categorize as strictly floral fragrances, I have an honorable mention again, because I really struggle with putting this fragrance in one category, and it is the new release from Maison Mataha, Printemps Blanc. Now, here you have orange blossom, you have also some tuberose, if I'm not mistaken, and some jasmine. It's a white floral, but made very creamy in a way. Like, I feel like the notes on Fragrantica really don't represent this fragrance. It's musky, it's clean, it's creamy, but has also a sweet side because there is vanilla. A very, very beautiful spring fragrance. Sometimes I get more of the fresh aspect of this fragrance. Sometimes I get more of the vanilla. So it's very difficult for me to categorize it. And this is why I am putting it in an honorable mention. Now, true floral orange blossom, or a true representation of an orange blossom. I don't know how to call this category, to be honest. We are talking about very, very floral fragrances. Starting with one of the most recommended fragrances from you all. It's this one. Like, there are two. You are recommending me non-stop, and I finally tested it. And I'm talking about Solar Blossom from Misoncier. It's an extremely elegant, fresh, slightly sweet representation of an orange blossom. It's a little bit musky, it's a little bit sweet, it's floral, very well balanced fragrance, and I get why you all love it and you recommend it for me. It's a signature worthy scent, a fragrance that you would wear on your wedding. A very elegant and chic fragrance. The whole brand is very elegant and chic. Maybe not all of the fragrances are for me personally, but they have this, you know, sophisticated but yet easygoing vibe to them. I think I didn't upload yet the video I did on Misoncier, like a first impression, so definitely stay tuned for that video. What I can tell you is that Solar Blossom is definitely worth the hype. I don't have a lot of words to describe this fragrance because it's extremely simple, but it's the way this fragrance is blended, is balanced, is what makes it so special. So highly recommend it. Another one that I would categorize as a full representation of an orange tree is Eau Féminin from M. Micallef. But it's mostly a floral fragrance. So you get a little bit of orange, you get a little bit of petit grain, you get a little bit of neroli, so a little bit of the sharpness, a little bit of the green touch, but it's made in a very, very elegant, feminine way. The name is very, very fitting, one of the best fragrances, and it is actually the fragrance that made me fall in love with orange blossom. Compared, of course, to solar blossoms, this has more of a presence to it and more of a freshness. Next, we have a Kayali fragrance, and it is a Marrakesh in a bottle. Here's the sweetness that you get from this fragrance is exactly the sweetness that is naturally in the orange blossom. But the difference between, for example, this one and solar blossom that has also like this naturally sweetness from orange blossom is that here you have more florals, there is more going on in this fragrance, and you have a woody base. It's very easy going, and mostly you get here orange blossom mixed with rose, by the way. Still, the orange blossom is the star of the show, but it has a lot of rose. So if you want more of a floral fragrance with a lot of rose, this is the one for you. For a combination of orange blossom and tuberose, of course, we are going to talk about L'Interdit, the eau de toilette, not the eau de parfum, because the difference between the two is practically that. Eau de parfum is more of a tuberose fragrance, eau de toilette is more of an orange blossom. Very, very heady white floral fragrance. So not an easygoing fragrance in any way, shape or form, but if you are into a very loud, heady, white floral fragrance with a predominant orange blossom fragrance, this is the best. Moving on to a mix between orange blossom and lilac, and this is orange blossom from Jo Malone. Oh my god, this is so beautiful, very feminine and delicate, a very delicate fragrance. The lilacs here are just the perfect combination with orange blossom. I would have never imagined that these notes would go so well together. It has a little bit of the tangerine blossom, so it's not fully citrusy. You will get the freshness, the brightness from that note. Very easygoing, very chic, and one of the best orange blossom and one of my favorites. I love this scent. How delicate, how feminine it is. I am a fan of lilacs, so I really love this one, but if you are not into lilacs, then this fragrance is not for you. It is equally part orange blossom and lilac. A very special place will go to a Stefanade from Parfum de Marly, mainly because it is definitely a standout. This is the fragrance that I've never smelled before. Very, very unique. And you have here orange blossom, you have a lot of iris also. I am getting a huge dose of iris that not a lot of people get. Mostly when they speak about this fragrance, they speak about the ylang-ylang, the vanilla, the pear maybe, but not a lot of the iris. And here I am smelling almost equally parts iris, orange blossom, and ylang-ylang. It is sweet, but not gourmand, or I can't really categorize it as a sweet fragrance. It's floral, but this complexity of it makes it not really as suitable for a floral category. So it's definitely a standalone fragrance. You have to love specifically iris and ylang-ylang to enjoy this fragrance, and I'm talking about the ylang-ylang that you will get from the essential oil. So don't think about your sweet, creamy, tropical, banana-esque vibe that you will get from the ylang-ylang. It has a little bit of an indolic touch to it. This is not a safe blind buy, and it is a little bit on the mature side. Next, we are going to talk about fresh orange blossoms. And here is where the neroli really comes out. So a lot of the fragrances I'm going to talk about have quite a big dose of neroli because it is more on the fresh side. And yes, a lot of the floral fragrances, or like a true representation of orange blossom that I've talked about before, are fresh. But with fresh here, I mean very musky or very citrusy orange blossoms. Starting with, I would say, again, a fragrance that is a standalone, because I really can't categorize it in any category. It's just, it is between a fresh floral and a true representation of orange blossom, if that makes any sense. And it is from Infiniment Coty Paris. This is Soleil d'Icocim. I don't know about the name. Sorry if I'm pronouncing it incorrectly. So here you have orange blossom, neroli, and vetiver. But I get also a lot of muskiness in this fragrance, and this is why I decided at the end to include it in the musky fresh orange blossoms. It is more on the unisex side, and although the orange blossom is definitely the most predominant note, I am getting a lot of neroli, which, as I said, will be the case for a lot of fragrances, because as more you are getting into the fresh side, the more you are getting the neroli. But it's not sharp. It's the vetiver here just gives it a little bit of an earthy, clean aspect. It's a very clean, transparent fragrance, very, very unique scent that is totally unisex, which is again one of the things that you will notice in the fragrances from now on, that a lot of them are more on the unisex side. Next one is Fleur d'Oranger 27 from Le Labo. And here it's almost masculine leaning. So I am getting orange blossom, I am getting neroli, but I am getting a lot of petit grain, some citruses, and a synthetic musky base. Very fresh, very clean, almost soapy orange blossom. If you are into the clean girl aesthetic, or clean aesthetic, let's say, this is, I would say, a perfect fragrance for you, because you can see the signature of Le Labo here. So this musky, fresh, almost coldness. But I have to admit, this is not my favorite from this category. My favorite one is definitely from L'Artisan Parfumeur. This is Histoire d'Oranger. Oh, here you have orange blossom and neroli mixed with tea, and it is so beautiful. A lot of tea scents have a predominant note of orange blossom, but I specifically decided to include this one because I can't categorize it as a tea scent. The tea here is just to add some transparency, some coziness to the fragrance, a very cozy scent. And I definitely prefer it to the next one, which has a lot of similarities with this one, and it is from Atelier Première. This is Neroli Oranger. Here the musk is almost a little bit powdery like. It's not a powdery fragrance, but compared with Histoire d'Oranger, it's still fresh, but it's almost muted with something powdery, without transforming the fragrance into a powdery scent or a predominant powdery note. I would say it's just a composition. The tea in Histoire d'Oranger is definitely makes that fragrance stand out, and also the musk there. Here's a different musk. It's just a little bit more muted in a way. And although the name is Neroli Oranger, it's more of an orange blossom. I'm not getting the neroli as a predominant note, which is not the case for the next fragrance, and it is Neroli Amara. Oh, this fragrance, I can't tell you how many of you told me about, recommended me this fragrance when I started my orange blossom journey, and I get it, guys, I get it. But for me, the name tells you. It's more neroli than orange blossoms. This is why I decided to include it, because all of you told me about this one as an orange blossom fragrance, and it has orange blossom, but for me, the neroli is more amped up than orange blossom. It's a very clean, easygoing neroli, orange blossom, musky fragrance. It has also some citruses. To me, it smells like an elevated cologne in a way, if that makes any sense. So think about what makes a cologne fresh and citrusy and bright and suitable for summer and invigorating, but make it more as a perfume rather than a cologne. It will be this fragrance. So I get the hype, and I actually really like the scent, but I just don't find it very heavy on the orange blossom. It's mostly neroli. And it is the perfect fragrance to introduce the next category, which is citrusy orange blossom. And I have two fragrances, starting with MFK Petit Matin. When we speak about orange blossom that has a lot of citruses, we are going into the cologne side of fragrances. And here you definitely get it. But again, as Neroli Amara, the composition is made in a way that makes it more of a perfume, although you get this almost cologne composition in it. It's very easy, very simple, and it's definitely extremely expensive. But when we speak about this category of fragrances, I just can't not mention Petit Matin, because it is a very luxurious, expensive smelling cologne vibe kind of a fragrance. The next one is from Atelier Cologne, and it is Bohemian Orange Blossom. Here again you have a lot of neroli, but you have a very juicy orange note. So again you have the full representation of an orange but without the petit grain. Instead of the petit grain you have this juicy orange, but it's very fresh, very invigorating, and one of my favorites from Atelier Cologne. I'm so sad about what happened to Atelier Cologne. It just was a great brand, and I don't know what is happening to it. Next category are green orange blossom. And I'm not talking about fragrances that have a predominant note of petit grain. No, that have green notes. I can't really categorize them as specifically or obviously green fragrances, but they have a huge dose of some green aspect, green notes to them, starting with Eau d'Essence from Diptyque. Now, here is the green that I'm talking about, comes from Angelica. It's a little bit more of an aromatic, let's say, orange blossom, another way to put it. Totally unisex. You have a little bit of juniper berry, you have the neroli, you have the orange blossom, you have this Angelica. And I am not a fan of Angelica at all in fragrances, but here it just works. So the fragrance is just very sophisticated. Diptyque is a brand that, again, like Maison Serre, like MFK, like Celine, like Chanel, even if they create fragrances with some notes that you don't like, the way they are creating their fragrances is just so elevated and chic and so beautifully done. Next we have actually a sadly discontinued fragrance from the private collection from Dior, and it is Terra Bella. A very musky, fresh, green orange blossom. Very easy going and very elegant. I don't know what is happening with the private collection of Dior. I had high hopes when Frances Kurkdjian took over as the perfumer for Dior, but I'm not loving so much what is happening. I just saw that Sebastian said that they are going to discontinue my favorite private collection fragrance from Dior, and it is Vanilla Diorama, and I am heartbroken. Anyway, we're talking about Orange Blossom and Terra Bella. A very beautiful, musky, fresh orange blossom with some green notes, with a beautiful musky base. And although discontinued, I still can't find it. So this is why I decided to include it. Next, we have from Guerlain, from the private collection. I am going to butcher the name, I know. Herbe Troublante. I hope I did a good job at pronouncing this name. Strangely, the name is Disturbing Herbs, and I find nothing disturbing about this fragrance. You have here a herbaceous, green, musky, orange blossom fragrance. And I would have never guessed that I would like this kind of a scent profile, because I am not into green fragrances, not into herbaceous or anything like these kind of notes into fragrances, but this is just so beautiful. Nothing disturbing about it. It's just clean and fresh and invigorating and a perfect summer fragrance. It has a lot of similarities with Erba Fresca, by the way. But Erba Fresca is not an orange blossom fragrance at all, while this one, I can get the orange blossom. It's not the most predominant note. Predominantly, I am getting this green aspect and then the orange blossom and a musky base. And the orange blossom just made this fragrance work, made it a little bit floral and fresh and more on the unisex side. So it's not masculine, which I associate with a lot of green fragrances or aromatic. It's very beautiful. Do you need this one if you have Erba Fresca? No, but compared with that one, I find this one also more feminine, maybe because of the orange blossom. And these were my picks for the best orange blossom fragrances on the market. Now, if you ask me what is my favorite from these 30 fragrances, I can tell you my favorite in like above anything is Levant from Ormond James. This is my absolute favorite, followed by Eau Femina. But if you have to choose from each category, I would say from Sweet Orange Blossom, I would pick Sam Gold, I think. And from fruity ones, I would say Valaya maybe. And for florals, I would definitely pick Orange Blossom from Jo Malone. From Fresh Musky, Histoire de Parfum, Histoire d'Oranger. I'm blown away by this fragrance. One of my favorite discoveries, I would say. And from citrusy ones, I would pick Neroli Amara. And from the green ones, Guerlain Herbe Troublante. These are my favorites from each category and my favorites in general. So that was it. That was quite a long video. If you watched till now, thank you so much. And don't forget to tell me in the comments down below what is your favorite orange blossom, generally speaking. And also, if you are a fan of that note, which fragrance would you pick from each category, and which fragrances would you recommend for me that I didn't mention here? So looking forward to see your comments. If you liked this video or you found it helpful, please give me a thumb up. I will highly appreciate it, and it will help me a lot here on YouTube. And since you are here, if you didn't subscribe already, please go ahead and subscribe and hit the notification bell so you will get notified when I upload any new videos. I have a lot of exciting content coming very soon, so don't forget to hit the notification bell. Thanks a lot for watching, and see you next time. Ciao!